Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ro, and I am joined here by my colleague Max, and it is right at the top of the hour, so we are going to go ahead and get started with our webinar. Hopefully, everyone can see my screen here. So welcome again to Knack 101 and learning the basics of Knack. Go ahead and get started here. So again, my name is Ro. I'm part of our onboarding team here at Knack and my colleague as well. We are both part of our onboarding team here at Knack. So thank you for joining us. We work with a lot of our customers that are new, coming to Knack, looking to validate their use cases. We help you get onboarded. We answer any questions that you have. And then we're hosting these webinars here weekly to help you realize the value or see how things might be built out within our product. So diving into a little bit here of what to expect today, we are going to demo one of our template apps, and then we're going to talk about live customization, and then we're going to dive into, if you have any questions, we're going to have an open live Q&A section towards the end here of the webinar if time permits. If you have questions during the webinar, feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A section of our webinar. So you should see that in your panel there. We're also going to be keeping an eye out in the chat section too as well, but drop those questions in the Q&A. Max will follow up and respond. And then he'll also jump in here and let me know if there's a time or an opportunity for me to kind of demo based on where we're at in the question. So again, share your questions there. Even feel free to share a little bit about your use case or what it is that you brought you to Knack, what you're trying to build, and we can use that as a topic as well to discuss at the end of the webinar. Now, if you don't have any questions, that's 100% okay. I always have plenty to talk about. There's never a shortage of information for me to share. So we will go all the way right up to the hour, the end of the hour here. So let's go ahead and kind of get started. So if you're new and just getting started with Knack and you have some questions about what can Knack do, what can you build with Knack, what type of applications, we've got a list of applications here. You can build business-based applications to manage your projects. You can manage inventory, client dashboards. You can manage things like webinars and events and attendee management of your events. So lots that you can do there. You can also build e-commerce type solutions with a purchase orders platform. You can build things like field service management. So if you have people or team members that are out in the field and they need to access the application or your data or be able to update data while they're in the field, you can build a field service management type tool where they can access the Knack application from a mobile device or from a tablet or a laptop. And then custom forms to grab information from customers, feedback and additionally research databases. Let me make sure I have the most recent information here. So a couple quick things, housekeeping things in terms of how do you get support with our team. Getting support, we are available to you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also reach out to our team at onboarding@knack.com. Again, we're here to help you validate your use case and help you get onboarded to the product. You can also learn more about working with our team, our onboarding team, as well as our support team if you have any issues, and the different support tiers that are available with each plan within our knowledge base. There's an article called Working with Support that you can check out. It's got a wealth of information here, so I would recommend getting to our knowledge base. I will actually take you guys through where in the product that you can find these lovely links so that you can make sure that you have all access to all of the resources that are available and can learn about our product, one, the knowledge base, and also how to work with support. We also have experts available. So if you're interested in hiring someone, maybe you validated Knack. Yes, it will work for what I need, but I'd like to hire someone to build out my application. We have experts available, so we'll talk more on that in a little bit. And then we've got some community forums where our community is asking questions actively, and our experts tend to be active there in the community and can follow up and answer any questions that you have. So we'll circle back around to this after we've kind of dove into the product and into what Knack is, and then talk about these resources again. So again, today, what are we going to go through? We're going to actually demo a multi-company platform. So this template app kind of covers two things. How do you allow for a company or a group from a company be able to log into the app and see only information related to their company? And there's going to be a project management type element. Maybe that company has projects and you want them to be able to log in and only see their projects related to their company. This also has a component where there's multiple users at that company. So one of the cool things about Knack is we don't charge for users. They're in essence, you have the unlimited license, so to speak, or you're limited to the number of records within your database. We just treat a user as a record in the database. So if you've got multiple users within your company or within a single company that needs to log in, there's ways to build out your application to only limit the permissions to that group of users seeing only their company data. So we're really going to dive into this use case, and we're actually going to build out that portion of it that starts to set up that workflow. So we're going to customize, we're going to look at the topics today. We're going to take a look at this company platform, as well as how to customize the template app if you start with a template app and then building from scratch. I've also got some additional resources here. This link takes you to our template app page. If you haven't had a chance to explore our website, you go to knack.com /templates. You can also see underneath our platform here, or resources, goodness, where we have our template app link there. This will allow you to go to the template page to find this particular template app that we'll be reviewing. And then we've got, again, the Knack knowledge base, getting started guide. All of this information can be found in our knowledge base. So let's dive in to this multi-company platform. So I've already installed our template app here, and I've made some of my own customizations. Again, we can talk more about this once we dive into the back end of this template app to see how we would customize this app. So with Knack, you can log in as a variety of users. We have in this template app a way that an admin can log in. So if it's your business, you own the application, and maybe you want to see all companies and all team members tied to those companies, we've got that admin level of access. We've also got the company manager and the team manager. So I might be already logged in here as an admin, but I'm going to log out quickly. And again, just jump back into that dashboard again so we can see what that experience is if you're logging in as an admin. And then we'll kind of rinse and repeat as we go through the different user roles. So I'm going to log in as an admin. You'll notice with all of our template apps, we do give you the login credentials here, so we can log in as admin and my test credentials. So now, as a logged in admin, you'll notice here at the top, I wasn't seeing these navigation items up above, but now I'm seeing my home page, which is just a public page here. And then I'm seeing my company's page, as well as projects, company managers, and team members. So one of the cool things about Knack is the way you build out your application. You can add views to a page to allow you to view your data or add and update your data with different views is what we call them, which again is ways to display your data as well as add and update. So right now we're taking a look at two specific views. One's a menu view that just has a button that allows us to link to a form to add a new company. We also have a grid view that allows us to view in like table style a table of information or a table of our companies. So we're able to take a look at our company. We have options like a search, keyword search. So if we were to type in the word business, because I see that in one of our addresses, it will pull in that information as long as it has that keyword. You'll also notice we have a variety of field types. This is just a handful of field types. We'll talk about this more in a moment, but you'll see we've got this short text field. We've got a website address or the URL field, email, address, phone number. We've even got equation fields if you need to run equations. There's lots of options here. This is also a relational database. So once we click this view link here, that's going to take us to see more details about an individual record. We can start to see some of the relationship piece that's available within Knack. So we're going to take a look at Creative Innovations Limited, and we have some details on that company. So again, if we had additional information around this company, like maybe a primary contact, some additional information like number of employees, maybe there's a company description field, you can add those, but that might be something you would show here on a company details page. We also have that relational piece I talked about where a company can have many projects that they're associated with, and now we can see this relational piece. We have our company table that we were looking at above, but now we have a project table and we're saying, hey, we only want to see creative innovations projects that they're tied to. So if I were to jump back out here and go back to my company table here, I can take a look at the global ventures, and we can see a completely different project here. And again, those company details. So that relational piece, if this is something you're looking to build within Knack, to be able to have the relationship piece set up where you can hone into an individual record and see all those related pieces, Knack is the tool for you. It could definitely handle that. And you can also see on this project table, we have an option here to take a look at even the details related to this project. So we can dive in and we can see, again, our details for the project, that individual project that we're looking at. We can add a task if we needed to, tied to the project, as well as add any comments tied to the project. So again, these are all their own tables within Knack, and we are relating them via what we call a connection field. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. So we have all of this company information. So this is what our admins are looking at. We also have a project view where they can see all of their projects if they don't want to go from the company view. Again, if we can click on this link to view more details about a project, we're going to see a similar view that's going to show us the details, the tasks, and the comments. We can even look at all of our company managers in the database, and we can add a company manager if we needed to, again, linking to a form. So form views, they allow you to add data, edit data. You'll see this edit link here that's going to link us to another form that allows us to update this information for that particular company manager. And then you'll see we've given the power to the company manager or to the admin to be able to delete this information here on this table. So one other tab up here, team members. This allows us to see those team members and the companies that they are connected to. And again, we have edit links. We can even take this a step farther in our template app and say, hey, we want our team members to see the tasks that they have been assigned. So we might want to customize this app further. If you're using or starting with a template, you may want to customize it further and change some of the information that you're seeing here. You're completely able to. And it's once you get the hang of Knack, it's pretty straightforward to make those changes. So I'm going to jump back to our home page, and I'm going to talk about a couple things as it relates to sharing your app, and then we'll dive into the company manager and the team member, because I really think it's necessary to see how a logged in user from a different group is able to see different information. So for example, as I explained with this multi-company platform, the company can log in and view only their projects, and vice versa. The team member can log in and only see the tasks that have been assigned to them related to their company. So again, let's talk about this URL. So you'll notice within Knack, if you're sharing out your application, you've got a couple different ways to do that. You can copy and paste this URL, and that's going to be what we call your personalized URL. It's your application URL. It's composed of the first part of it is your account slug that's customizable. You'll see the knack.com, and then you'll have the multi-company platform template. Number one, this is just basically the name of your application. So if your app is going to be named Acme Company, then you might have Acme Company here, or Nike app, or whatever your app name will be, but that will appear here. And then everything after this hashtag is going to relate to the name of the page that you're on. So as I navigate, you'll see that I am now after my hash, I'm on my company's page. I navigate to projects. Everything here stays the same, but everything after the hash starts to reference the actual information that I'm on here within my application. And when I click a link to view more details, for example, there you see your link goes out further, says, hey, I'm on a details page for this particular record ID. So that's what your Knack URL is made out of. You can copy this and share that out. There are other ways too to enhance or to share your application. It's called, you can embed your app within your platform. So if you've already got an existing website and you want to embed your application on your website, you can certainly do that as well. Every only thing that your website would do, everything before here would be related to your page, but then everything after that hash is going to be related to your Knack application. So just kind of as a heads up there. And I also point this out as we go into the different user roles, it's going to be important to make note of what that personalized URL is. So again, we've got our home page here. This one's available to everyone. It's a public page. If I navigate to my company manager page, you'll see as an admin, I don't have access to this page. So I would need to log in. If I have manager credentials, again, notice up here, this is the projects 2 page that we're on, that we're trying to navigate to, and we don't have access to this particular page. So I'm going to log in as now my manager. So this logs me out, and now logged in as a manager, you will see that I'm only seeing information related to the potential company that I've been assigned to, that's been assigned to me, and I can see those projects. You'll also notice I only have 3 tabs up here versus what we saw the admin had access to. So again, if you're looking to make sure that people have the correct permissions and they're only seeing the data that you want to give them access to, we manage that via our feature called user roles and page permissions. And again, it'll make more sense once we dive into the back end here. But again, projects, they can see projects, they can view details on a project. It's got a similar view where now we can, they can add tasks and they can add comments related to their projects, but they're not seeing anyone else's projects in the system. We can check into the team members. They only have 1 team member that's tied to them as well. So we're able to see details about that team member. We can log in to see this team member and the tasks that have been assigned to them. Again, we can customize these views further to say, hey, I want to be able to add another task to this team member. So maybe we add some workflow to allow us to add that piece of information to allow us to add another task related to that team member. All right, so I'm going to jump back into my home page here. Again, I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to click on that other option there. You'll see I'm on projects 3 here. It's a different portion here after that hash. And I'm going to log in now as the team member. I think this is correct here. And now you'll see I have, again, that home and the projects information there, and then the project, and then my tasks that have been assigned to me only. And if I wanted to add some additional comments, I could do that. So again, we have 3 different users that are able to log in and see different bits of information, all based on the company that they've been assigned to, and the admin level that gives you full access within Knack. So all of these things need to be built from scratch, or like I said, starting with a template app. So let's actually take a look now at what this looks like in the back end. So I'm going to navigate to the actual builder for this application. So taking a step back, Knack has a few environments. And if you've created your account, you've probably already come across all 3. But we've got our dashboard, which you can access here, the account dashboard. That's where you're going to add apps. Currently, right now, we're in the builder of the app builder section. We're in the area where we're designing and building out our app, and then we've been accessing our live app here. So this is the actual live app. So again, this builder area, this is where all the building happens. This is where you start designing your app. This is where you're adding your tables. This is where you're adding your fields, setting up your relationships, and building out your workflows. So just as some kind of diving into this template app, and going through where we at and all the features that are here within Knack. On this left-hand side, we have our data table, our data tab. This is just where all of your tables live. This is where you can add tables to your application. And there's 3 ways to add tables. You can add a table by importing a CSV or an XLS file. You can also start with a blank table. You can also start with a pre-made table. Pre-made tables have fields already included, and you can start with them if you want to. And then you can also use Google Sheets. So if you are using Google G Suite and you want to be able to pull in information that you have stored in Google Sheets, you can certainly do that. Choose the Google Sheet that you want, and then import that data within Knack. And it's super slick, and it's one of my favorite ways to import data into my system, into the system or into your database. This is also, as you start to think about migrating from other platforms, how you would bring your data in. Typically, you can start to create a table again, like I said, by using one of those imports. That'll help you to start with adding those fields quickly, especially if you have a table with lots of large fields, or you can start from scratch. My personal preference is to start from scratch, but I know other people like to start with an import. I share this because with the learning process and getting comfortable with Knack, maybe as a first pass, as you're starting to get familiar with the tool, create things from scratch to get a better sense of how Knack works in terms of the fields, the different field types that you have available, and then it'll make a little bit more sense when you start to map your data into the platform via an import. So that's our data tab. When we click on any one of these tables here, you'll see some information pop up on the right-hand side. This is us actually on our table, showing us all of the fields that are available. We can add fields by clicking the Add Field button here. And again, those field types that I was talking about, that Knack has a variety of field types to choose from. This is where you'll see the text field, short text, rich text, number fields. You're actually seeing here our formula fields. We did another webinar where we talked about when these formula fields appear. So if you're not seeing them in your application, these formula fields are based on relationships that you set up between 2 tables and having a number field. We can dive into that a little bit more, probably into our Q&A section. But I just wanted you to see all of the fields here. We've got multiple choice, date, files, personal, and then we've got some other fields down here, including a link field, signature, rating, and the infamous or famous connection field, which is super, super valuable and important when it comes to relating your data. So you'll see that option down here in your table, your field options, and you can also quickly access that from the right-hand side. So this is what we're looking at from our data tab. You'll see there's some settings up here as well. There's a drop-down icon here. There's a drop-down icon here. You can hover over a field. There's 3 dots here. I shared this to say there are a ton of settings. And just when you think, maybe Knack doesn't do this, I would encourage you to click on things or reach out to our team, and we will happily let you know what's possible with Knack. Just share it with us, like a brief overview of what it is that you're trying to do, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction. But all of these settings, give yourself some time to click on them, see what this does. Oh, I want to change the company, this label here, or my display field, which is super important when it comes to the connection piece. So if I wanted to tie a company or a team member to a company, what shows up in that drop-down field, that lookup field on my team member table, right? Is it going to be the company name? Is it going to be the contact name or the address here? So this is what you kind of set up when you're creating that lookup field. So again, I share that to say there's a ton of settings. You can click on any one of these fields here, three dots. You'll see that there's validation rules, conditional rules. You can change your field type. You can delete a field. So fields, when you add them, they have their own settings. You can set them to required. They must be unique. So there's lots of settings within that. So again, if we wanted to add a new field here to maybe capture, a yes, no question or not, you'll notice that we've got lots of formatting options here. We can add the field. Once it's added, you'll see it appear here. Fields can be dragged and moved around. And again, you can click on them anywhere on them to open up those settings again to go in. And if you needed to set a validation rule or if you needed to add a conditional rule, you could. So lots of options here. Make sure to check those out within your application. So if you were starting again with the template app, these can be edited further, and you can also continue to add new fields to your table. You'll see this option here, records, as we work our way down. It's also the same option here. These two are the same. Just depends on how quickly you want to get to that section. If you're editing over here, you're editing over here. These are the same. But they basically will show you all of your records in the system. You can also import your data from here. You can export your data from your application at any time. So if you ever have a need to get the data out, you can definitely do that from here. And then you can do things like batch updating and batch deleting as well within Knack. You have options to filter back here. You can continue to insert new fields if you wanted to. You don't necessarily need to do that from the data tab. You can do that here. You can also get into your field settings. So again, when I say if you hover over and you see this little icon pop up, click on that and give yourself a chance to explore. So this is our records view. So again, you have all of these lovely options here to again import, export, update, and delete. And then you can click into these and update as needed. Now, don't mistake this records area for workflow. If you're trying to get some kind of automation to happen, or you need to trigger an update here and need to add a record here and you want to send an email, all of that workflow is set up under pages, and we'll talk about that more here in a moment. So this is our tables area. Down below is our user roles tables. This is where I talked about earlier, where we are able to set up the different groups that have access to the database and then limit what they can do based on the pages. So you'll notice under user roles, we have our accounts table, but then we also have other tables, subtables underneath that. We've got our admins, we've got our company managers, we have our team members. This starts to set up how we're going to set up our pages and give permissions. So we need to decide which group of users need a permission level where we don't want to necessarily give them access to everything. And then we start building those user groups under here. So in my admins table, you'll see I have the one record for the one admin that we logged in as. I've got company managers, and then as well as team managers as well. So these are treated just as normal tables. You can continue to build these out and add fields, hire dates, their own address or information if you needed to collect that. But these are similar to tables. They just also serve an additional purpose and a very important purpose as it relates to permissions. So rule of thumb, if you have a group of users that need to log in at any point throughout your building process or throughout your business, make sure that you create it under user roles rather than up here under tables. So just a rule of thumb, if it's a group of users, build it right down here, add them right down here. So that's our user role features and why this is important. Couple other things to know. I could point out some of these other things down here, but I will encourage you to explore. Again, we've got e-commerce functionality. This one feature I do want to talk about here that you won't see during the trial, but feel free to reach out to us if you have additional questions about this. But I'm going to talk about this now. We have this tasks feature, not to be confused with project tasks, but this is actual tasks that are automations that run in the background of your application. So let's say that you wanted to trigger an email to be sent to remind someone that a project task is due, like the due date. We could say, hey, let's run a task to send that email out based on today's date. So we might say reminder email, and we can set it to run daily, which means the task will check daily for a trigger, and then it will then take that action. So we'll click next, and I'm using email in my example here, but you can update records, you can update connected records, you can insert connected records, and send a custom email. And by connections, I'm just meaning I can update in another table. So I'm in a task table that's for my projects. Maybe I want to update the project to say, flag mark this task as complete once it's been marked complete, or something like that. Or mark this project as complete once that task is complete. So there's lots of reasons that you might want to do that, but if we wanted to do a custom email, we can set when the task will run. It could be based on a due date. We can say is before, is during the current, week. There's lots of options here if we're working off that, or due date is today. We can say trigger, send an email to remind this person that this task is due today. So that's what tasks are. They are available with our Pro plan and above. You won't see them to test out during the trial, but if you have questions, you'll see that there's this link is available for people who have it. So you won't see this, but that takes me to kind of a segue into what I talked about earlier, is getting access to those resources that I was sharing with you. There's a help icon here in the top right-hand side. If you click on that help icon, it's going to open up this drawer here, our help desk drawer that has getting started articles. These take you right to our knowledge base. If you wanted to look at more template apps, see what other use cases or workflows you could build in Knack, you could check out our template page. We've also got our knowledge base. If you're interested in hiring an expert, like I mentioned before, you can click here and this will take you to our expert page, which experts have to show proficiency in our product before we allow them to become a part of our expert directory. But you can work with them directly, set your budget, what you need. They can build your application, they can help consult, they can offer training as well. So lots of options there in terms of getting support with your application, but all of this information is going to be found in this help drawer here. You've got links to give feedback, to support, and also to reach out to our community. So if you need some additional help here, if you want to learn about that task feature, you can definitely click on our knowledge base here. You can click on the learn more, and this will take you to the knowledge base where you can do a search for scheduled tasks, where you'll see that information and you can learn more about that feature. So again, that was tasks here, not to be confused with the actual task table here, which is managing tasks related to the project. So next tab here, the pages tab. This is where, like I said, all of now we're getting into the design side. We're going to start building out the workflows and the actions and whatnot that we want your different users to be able to do within Knack. So this is obviously we're working with a template app. You can find our pages here. Pages get added by, again, clicking this pink plus button here. We can start with a public page, which is similar to what we were seeing within our live app here. This is a very public page. If I navigated here and first log out, I'm going to lose my home page here, and I would need to update my URL. I think it was home. You might want to set up your users to access this page differently, like maybe giving a redirect or a button for them to be able to go back. But on this home page here, you can see that this is a very public page. We don't have to log in. It's also denoted by not having a key or a lock on that page. So that's how you know the difference here in the builder. So if, again, you're starting with a template app, note that these template apps will have a lock on them, and they're for a specific user group. the way we've named these pages here, you can see that these 4 pages are for admins. These 2 pages here are for managers, and this one is for our team members. So adding a page is, again, straightforward. You would click and add the page. Once a page has been added, and we'll walk through this actually when we do an actual live build of this. But adding a page, once a page is added, you are now adding views to a page. Right now, this is a login view. Login views, all of your views can be edited further, meaning they could be customized even further. So again, give yourself time to explore some of these features. And they tell you a lot of things about what the page is doing from this point here. So if I click on this, you'll notice that it is now selected and everything behind it is grayed out. If I click on settings, I can say, you know what, I want to allow people to register. I now have a register sign up button here. I can set it to pending approval, meaning they can register, but they won't have immediate access. They won't be able to log into the application until you've approved it. You can also limit it to a specific group. Here we're limiting to just our admins, but you can always add other user groups. But this is where we start to set up those permissions. So we're basically telling this page, we're locking the page down and saying, this is only for my admins. And I'm not going to create a registration workflow for them, obviously, because I don't want someone just to log in and to be able to have access to this information. So that's our login page. You'll have breadcrumbs here to link you back to this home page, or you can click on your pages option here. That'll take you to your default state for your pages. But as we look at this admin page with a lock, once they've logged in, you'll start to see these cascading pages underneath that locked in area. So now, as if you remember correctly, when we logged in as a admin, we were able to see our companies right away, that table of companies. So now we're getting into, we've added a page. Now let's add views to the page. Let's add ways to display that data. So that option will be here. If you click add a view, you will see the variety of view types that we have available. We have views to, again, a form view to be able to add or edit information. We have details views. We have grid views, search views. If you want to do more of an ad hoc query of the database, you could use our search view. We've got list view, calendar view, and as you can see, we've got reports and static views as well as e-commerce views. So again, won't dive into each one of these specifically, but please note, you need to first add a view to a page. So first step, add a page. That page will be blank. Now you have to say, this is what I want to see on this page. And typically, that process is just going to require you kind of planning what it is that you want your users to do. You can work off your existing workflow. What you do now may be in another tool, and then work to improve it within Knack. Or if it's just as simple as I just want to view the data and quickly search it, you can do that as well. So again, we have these views. As you can see, as I hover over them, they get highlighted. I can click on them to edit them further. This is a menu view, so I can continue to add buttons to this. I could say, let's link to a URL. Maybe I want to go to the knack.com website, and I add to my URL here. I always choose the hard way to do this, but maybe we'll do our knack.com, and we have options to open that up in the new tab, and we can add an external link to say, hey, this is going to take you, to another site. So this is how you build your menu view. You can always link to other pages within your application. You can always link to a new page and build a new child page as well. So that's how you would continue to customize your application. You'll also see that I can hover on this table here as well and continue to customize further. And as I hover my cursor over everything, there's even more settings. So please, like I said, if I click on this, I'm going to have this panel over here on the left-hand side that's going to give me even more settings. So we've got some display rules. Display rules gets into if my, website logo, maybe we don't want to use this email is not blank, set the background color to green. Not a great example, but you can do things like that within Knack. You can have a check mark. It's just a quick way to alert people in your database of either a change based on the status, if the email is blank, if the project is marked complete or the task is marked complete, maybe you want to show a checkbox. So that's what display rules are. So again, there's lots of things that you can do within your application to customize further. Just give yourself some time to click and explore. So that's again how you would start to kind of customize these applications. You would go to each page and you would try to figure out, do I need this form? Do I want to change what some of these labels are? And again, as I click on this, I've got settings over here. And we even have this email rules. So let's say you add a company and you want to trigger an email to go out to someone. You can even trigger an email at this step too. So when I tell you Knack is full of features and functionality, please either reach out to us. We are here for you as a resource as well, and ask those questions, and also give yourself that time to explore. So let's taking a look at the clock here. Let's kind of start building this workflow out and kind of diving a little bit deeper into the connections piece and actually building a page from scratch. And we're going to look at this multi-company platform. It's a popular, somewhat use case. People want to be able to, one, limit those permissions, but then also limit it to a specific group of users. So I'm going to pull up a blank instance of Knack. When you create a new app within Knack, you may have noticed that your app's just named untitled, as well as we give you one default table to start with. So this table can be, again, customized as you see fit. And that's just by updating those settings within here. So right now we have a name field. This could actually be reused as our company name field, but maybe we want to rename the table here. So I'm going to just go into my settings and call this my company's table. So this table will have a list of all of my companies. So I could continue to add fields if I had an email address field that I wanted to capture to get the company email, if there was a primary contact or an address, phone number, you can add that information as well. So that's it. We've kind of already had a jump start. We had the table already created for us, and we can start to add fields. And think of this company table as capturing that static information related to the company. I always like to start to add test data too, because as you're building out your application, you want to be able to edit, or you want to be able to view the live app. Sorry, not edit, but you want to view the live app and view at least some data in there just to get a better sense of how things work. You can certainly, again, import your data. If you do import data, I recommend only maybe doing about 10 to 20 records until you get a better sense of the structure. Once you have the structure down, you understand a little bit better, migrate away, bring that data in. So here we are. I'm just going to add just a couple of company records. I'll go with what I've been using in my example here. And we'll add that. We'll also add another company. Again, keeping it as simple as possible for myself. So one of those things I wanted to talk about here as the display field, I'm going to switch this up and I'm going to set this as the email field. Just keep this in mind. Remember this little trick here. I'm setting my display field up as my email field for right now. And the display field is going to become our lookup field in a bit once we get into connections. So we've got our companies table. We also might want to have a projects table where our companies are also tied to projects. So I'm going to actually add a new table and I'm going to start from scratch. Again, if you want to import, you can. I am going to choose our option here. I'm just going to call this projects. And by default, we'll always give you that one field here. So we have the name of our project. Now we want to get into the relationship piece. How do we tie our projects to our company? So think about it in a one-to-many scenario. If each company can be tied to many projects, we know that our parent table in this scenario is our company table, our child table is our projects table. Also in the statement, each company can be connected to many projects. You know that your child table is associated with that many side. So in this scenario, we're going to want to go to that project table and we're going to insert that connection field there. So we relate tables using a connection field. If you're coming from traditional databases, you might be familiar with primary keys and foreign keys. Uh, Basically, connections act like a foreign key. They get placed in the child table and they get connected to back to the parent table. And again, if you're used to spreadsheets and things like lookup fields, we're just adding a lookup field to our project table that can look up and add to that field what that company is off the company table. So I'm going to add a connection here. Again, reminder, our fields are here. You'll also find it down here, but we can also see that option there. And we have our companies and our projects table. We obviously want to set it to companies. And you'll see each project connects with one company. Each company connects with many projects. Fantastic. If you find yourself doing this, more than likely you're in the wrong table. So exit out of here. If you're trying to make these statements true, exit out of here and go to your other table. 9 times out of 10, this is what you need. There's definitely some instances when you need a many to many. My recommendation, if you need a one-to-one type scenario, then you just need to add a field versus adding a connection field. So here we are. Each project connects to one company. Each company can connect with many projects. That sounds good. I'm going to add that connection. And that's it. So if we're following Ro's best practices and adding some data to this table so that we have something to look at, we can add a new record. I'm going to jump to our records tab here and I'll say this is project A. And I'm going to connect it to one of my companies on my company table. So this is my drop-down field. And look here, we are seeing that we're looking at our email address field. So maybe that's not ideal. We don't want to see the email address field and we want to view another field or we want to use a different field to connect on. So we might not want that. So I'm going to just quickly exit out of here and I'm going to jump back over to my companies table. And if you remember when I went into my settings here, I set that display field to email. We want to jump back and say, no, I'd rather see in that lookup field or in that connection field, I would rather see the name of the company there. So I'm going to update that. And now I'm going to jump back over here into my projects. We're going to try adding a record again. We're going to say project A. And now I can see that different field here. So this is just a surface level one layer of how connections work. Once they're in place, you can look up, you can connect to the Acme company. We can do another project B and connect this to our Nike company. So now we're just starting to add this data. So again, just making sure everything's working as we need it to. So now let's talk about users. We have, if you remember, in our other template app, in our company template app, we had 2 users. We had admins that we built out pages for that could see everything. And then we also had our team members that we might want to add as a user role as well. And we had managers. So we can just enable our users. That will be the first step. Once users are enabled, we can now start to add those groups. So we're going to add a user role. You'll see there, we kind of give you a hint, admins, and I'm going to just keep adding my different groups, managers, and my team members. So pretty straightforward. Once I create those, you'll see those 3 new tables added, or the 4 new tables added here. My accounts table, which is going to show all my users, plus then my 3 other tables, admins, managers, and team members. So I'm doing 2 things here. I'm setting up a permissions as well as, or the groups that will have permissions and the individual tables for each one of these groups. So again, these tables here If I click on my admins, by default, we have 5 fields that you cannot remove. Those are fields that are included within our user roles, but you can continue to build these out. So again, maybe your manager or your team member, you want to add a hire date and you want to capture that information. You can continue to build this out like a normal table. So we're going to get into that piece now where we want to build out, we know we want to show our logged in managers and team members only details related to their company, or that they've been assigned to, like if it's a project and we're assigning tasks to team members. So what we're going to do here, just for the sake of time, because we've got about 10 minutes here and I want to make sure we wrap this piece up, but let's assign our managers to a company. So again, that is going to be based on a connection. We need to add that connection. We need to add that foreign key. We need to add that connection to that child table. So if each company can have many managers, if each company can be associated with many team members, that side of the statement that's dealing with many, this is where we're going to go inside that table. We're have it selected and we're going to add that connection field again to our company. And that's it. We'll do that. And we can do rinse and repeat the same thing for our team members. So now, oops, made a mistake here. We're going to delete this because we don't need that. Word of caution, when you're deleting connections, if you've got things, pages and things built up based on that connection, those pages will break. So just kind of as a heads up. Right now, we're just getting started. We haven't built any pages out yet, but cautiously delete things or delete things with caution. So companies table was correct. One to many, that looks good. And we're going to add that. And since I automatically connected to team members, I just need to check my manager's table to make sure I did the right thing. And it looks like I did. Sometimes I'm working through this so fast. So here we are. We've got the basics set up. We got a company table, we've got our project table, we've got admins, we've got managers, we've got team members. A couple of things that we want to do. Once these users have been created, we need to add records. These records here on these user tables will serve as two purposes, test data, and then it'll also allow us to log in as that user group. So if you remember in our test app, our demo earlier, I was logging in as the different roles. That was because we had those records living in this table here. So I'll do one for each one of these here. Do admin. And again, I'm just going test mode. And again, take note of these settings here. We'll jump into our manager table. And we'll put in Max as our manager. And then one of the things I want you guys to note, let's assign Max to a company. We'll assign him to Acme and we'll hit submit. And then we'll do the same thing with a team member here as well. So we'll do, who do we want to do? Let's do that. And then we'll say team. All right, and we'll assign them to the Nike team. I probably want to add a couple more records here, but again, for the sake of time, let's jump into how you would build this out. And this actually goes quite quickly, but we've now got some test data, and we're going to log in as a manager that's tied to the Acme company, and maybe add a quick project here to be able to see. We'll be able to see the project A. Is the expectation since we've got connections and things set up. So now we're going to jump over to pages. We talked a little bit about adding pages, the public page and the login page. Drop-down menu just allows you to group your pages under one drop-down. For the purpose of this demo, we have this home page that's there for you by default. If I click on go to live app, this page is going to be blank. And as I mentioned beforehand, you would need to add views to the page in order to be able to see data. If you wanted to share your data and share information, you would have to first add something to the page. I'm gonna bypass that, but I'm gonna leave this page here so you can see that structure start to show in terms of your navigation in that top area, because that navigation gets created by clicking this button here. So I'm gonna click add a button here. We're gonna click the login page. We're gonna limit this. So again, we're talking about who has permission to this page. We're gonna limit this to our managers, and this is gonna allow us to say, hey, manager, I only want you to see your projects and any other related pieces of information. So we're going to click continue, and we'll just call this our manager dashboard, and we're going to add the page. So now we've got a blank page. If I back out of this, you can see I've got my home page, I've got my manager page with a login form. You guys should be familiar with this. And then we've got our manager dashboard here. So once we're on the manager dashboard, we want to start adding views to the page. Because we've set up the connection piece of it and we've related the data, we can now start to leverage that to limit permissions. So if we wanted to show a grid of all of our projects now tied to the company, I can select projects and I'll be able to show all projects. We might do this for maybe our admins, but we might limit this to say only show the projects connected to the company that this manager is connected to. Because we know about that because we have that connection in place. So it then becomes really easy to limit what that logged in user is seeing. So they're only going to see their projects that they're associated with. So we can now click continue, and we can give them edit access at this stage. We can give them links to see more details about the project. We can even continue to build out this page to show if there were tasks, we would show tasks. But in this use case, we don't have it, but we might link to see more details. So I'm going to click continue and add the grid. And then that's it. That's as straightforward as it is to create that permissions and to build out that very simple view. Login, managers logged in. They only see the projects that they have been assigned to, and they have some actions that they can take. So we can say, hey, let's test this out. So we can click on go to our live app. We're hit with a login form. So I'm going to log in as a manager with those test credentials that I created. And then I'm going to hit submit. And now notice up top, I've got my home option here that's blank, and I've got my other navigation option as well, my manager dashboard. And I'm seeing only the project A. I'm not seeing project B by Nike. I'm only seeing what I need to have access to. And now I have a form that I can edit that information. I also have a link to view more details. So very, very simple, very straightforward way to do this within Knack. But this is how you would do that multi-company kind of configuration. It's really based off of connections and where those connections are placed, and then tying your users, leveraging the pages functionality to say, hey, only show this content or this information based on who's logged into that page or the user role that has the permissions with this page. Again, each one of these views can be customized further. Let's say we obviously wouldn't want them changing the company information, so we could remove this field altogether. We can even make it read only, so it's only read only, and they can't make changes. So when I tell you Knack is heavily loaded with features, please give yourself that chance to explore or reach out to the team as well. So I'm going to hit save. Once you start to get the hang of it, starting to build additional functionality. Like I said, maybe projects get tied to a task that we hadn't added that workflow yet. So maybe I add my tasks table and I start to kind of rinse and repeat. What information am I collecting on the task? I have my task here, but I need to associate it with a project. So each project can be associated with many tasks. So I will definitely need to set that up. One project, many tasks. Perfect. Add that connection. Once that's in place, again, you can continue build out, but it then becomes easy to say, okay, let me jump to my project details page and let's continue to build out this page with more things. Let me add a view. a grid view that allows me to see all of my tasks connected to this page's project. Again, those connections piece is critical. It unlocks a lot of functionality, and we can bring that information in and say, add this to the grid. Um, Grids are also wonderful because you've got a ton of settings here. Again, if you're coming from other databases and you're used to like joins, how do I bring in information from my project table into my task table? You can do that with this connections option again that allows you to say, hey, let's bring in the company name or maybe the due date of the project. Looks like we have a question. Max, feel free, unmute your mic.
Not a question. Just wanted to remind you, you have a minute of the webinar left.
I
And I
know
know
it.
that
I know it.
you always want to go for more. It's okay.
I
Like there's
know it.
tons of
I
Knack to
tried.
explore.
I tried. I know this video's recorded, so you guys will all have access to this afterwards. So I'm like, let me squeeze in the last little bit to help you customize this further. Thank you, Max, for that heads up. We are right here at time. It looks like a pretty quiet group. Max and I were both ready, but if you, that is okay. If you have questions outside of the webinar today, feel free, reach out to us at onboarding@knack.com. Like I said, we are a resource for you, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And again, this video will be available to you, but keep a lookout for, yes, keep a lookout for an email. It will be sent to you so you can review and at your convenience. With that said, hopefully everyone has had, you're very welcome, has had learned a lot from this webinar today. And we hope to hear from you soon. All right, happy building. Bye, everyone.